Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 5010-355-646. This is a steel-based 5-knuckle plain bearing wide throw, 3.5 tall by 5-inch wide, satin nickel plated steel based hinge. Very nice satin nickel finish on that. At least on the hinge leaves, where they get a really good finish on it. Let's dissect the part number now. 50 50 is going to mean that it's a full mortise hinge. Kind of rethinking. I've forgotten more hardware. The 50 is going to mean that it is a full mortise hinge. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaves there that the leaves are intended to be parallel when the door is closed. When you bring them parallel, they're intended to be mortised to the edge of the door and frame, I should say. A 5-knuckle hinge is part of that as well. That 5 specifically means 5-knuckle. It is a plain bearing hinge, meaning there are no bearing packets in here at all. This would be for a low volume or relatively light duty sort of installation. The 1 in there means that it is a wide throw hinge, meaning that it is wider than it is tall. And jumping forward, the 355 means that it's 3.5 tall by 5-inch wide. And you always call out the height first. It wouldn't be a 5 by 3.5. It's always height by width. And then the 0 at the very end of the first 4 numbers indicates that it is a steel-based hinge, as you can see. The 355 again is the size, 3.5 by 5. The 646 is satin nickel. That's what that means. That's the BHMA, Builders Hardware Manufacturer Association 3-digit code for satin nickel, but it also specifically means that it's a brass-based material versus a 619, which would be satin nickel on a brass-based material. There's a link below this video to the cut sheet, which shows everything important dimensionally about the hinge beyond the width and height. But more so, on the lower left-hand corner, it'll give you a column of steel hinges, which is your 5000, which is a non-wide throw hinge. 5010, your wide throws. 8000, which is a 3-knuckle version. Then your BB, which is ball bearing. LB for the 8000, because that's a different style, a concealed lube bearing from Bommer. Next column over, you see how the number changes when the base material changes. That's the difference there. And then the third column over for stainless steel, you see how that number changes again when the base material changes. Wide throw hinges are used in a typical instance where you have a couple of instances. A wide throw hinge is used when you have unusually thick casing or treatment to the wall on the pull side of the door. So you might have shutters attached to windows, and on these wood windows you're using wide throw hinges, and the reason you need to do so is because you need to get out and around the shutter, or you've got a door. The common application, of course, is that you've got brick mold installed, that a standard 3.5 by 3.5, now that it would be the case for an exterior door, but you might have unusually thick casing where you need to move that pivot point out an additional 3/4 inch. The other instance is when you're standing on the pull side of the door and you view the face of the door and the frame, they're almost flush. They're not exactly flush typically, but they're almost flush, 1/8 of an inch, something in that range. Well, imagine if you took that same door and you pushed it in deeper into the frame, creating a larger reveal. Very common in installations where the wall thickness is extremely great. 12-inch, that kind of thing. And the doors are in the center of the frame. Well, that would necessitate a very wide throw hinge. Very typical sort of common need for a hinge are those applications. And a 3.5 by 5 is by far the most common, because if you've got a 3.5 by 3.5, the 5-inch is an inch and a half wider than standard. Well, when you close that, you're moving the pivot point out 3/4 inch. I mean, it's going to give you all the additional clearance, of course, but the 5 inch is extremely common because what you're seeing is the need to kick it out an additional 3/4 inch from where it would be standard, at least the axis of pivoting. Okay. If you're considering wide throw hinges, you might need an extended lip strike plate as well, now that I think of it. Screws are included in a complementary finish, and these are available in several different architectural finishes from Bommer as well. The last thing I'd like to point out to you is the logo. It says Made in USA right above it, and that's a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer number 5010-355-646 wide throw satin nickel 3.5 by 5 hinge or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.